little cornice I want to share with you today that helps any room of your house. So very, very simple, and you can create your own by walking through this with us. I know I can't wait to get outside, can't wait for the flowers, just some green coming out of the trees. Another thing that we think about when we're thinking about spring as women, we think about redoing our house on the inside. We want something to cheer us up on the inside too. So looking around your house, thinking about, if you're like me, I walk through and say, I want to do that and that and that. Oh yeah, and that. So much. But I've had a couple of requests for something simple that can make a big difference in decorating for spring. So today I'm going to share that with you because I happen to be doing this in my house. And a lot of people use blinds, which I do, blinds and shades, and just some color on the windows without putting drapes that may be too heavy in some places. A cornice board. And you never thought it could be this easy until you watch this today. You're going to need some luan. Now I've already cut my luan. It normally comes in a 4x8 sheet. I'm not sure if you can get it smaller than that or not. But have luan. This is the top of my cornice. 2 sides. This is the front of my cornice board. You need something to make it, to put it together. So what we're using are just simple 1x1s. You just cut these to fit, and I'll tell you about that as we go along. These have already been cut. A couple of things that you will need: some glue, a staple gun, fabric. My cornice board is going to have trim on the bottom, so I went to my fabric store, matched my trim up to go with the fabric that I chose. The other thing you will need is padding to go on your board before you put your fabric on. A simple quilt batting is fine. You can buy this at a discount store. You can buy it at your fabric stores. It's very simple to find. So here we go. Let's start making that cornice. Mine is actually going to go into my bathroom, my powder room downstairs. So let's walk in. I'm going to show you the before, show you what we need to do to get the cornice started. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to measure from the outside of the casing to the other side of the casing, okay? We want to add, and this is going to depend on you, I like 1.5 inches on each side of your casing, just so it gives a little bit of leeway once you wrap the fabric around the luan. And you can take it as high up as you want. You don't have to put it at the top of your window. When you put it up higher, it only makes your window look larger. It makes it look longer, which makes your room look a little bigger. So it doesn't block off so much of your view from outside. So my cornice is going to be 20 inches. It's going to go 1 inch from the top, and it's going to hit about right here. So it covers all of the hardware. Now, this blind cornice is going to come off, because what we need, as you can see, let me take this one off too, just so you let you get an idea. The depth that you want for your cornice. I usually use about 4 inches, whether it's a blind or a shade underneath, and that clears my hardware at the top for my blinds. And actually it's going to give me a few inches to work with also. So 4 inches is plenty to give enough room for everything on the inside. So this cornice is going to be 20 inches long, 4 inches deep, and I'm allowing 1.5 inches on each side of my window. So I think it came out to be 38 inches. First thing we're going to do is glue our 1-inch pieces onto our luan. Okay, it looks like the glue has dried around what we've already got put on here. So now we're going to glue on our sides. Okay, we have our cornice box finished. I went ahead and glued the sides on. Actually, the little pieces up here that connect the sides to the top, did those as well. Glue dried, stapled down the sides against the 1x1, up the sides here against the 1x1, I did the top the exact same way. Just stapled along the top and up the side. So now we're ready to cover our cornice. Okay, we've got everything stapled. Now we want to think about our corners. So we don't need all of this excess in our way. So it's kind of like making a bed when you fold your sheets in. But just double it over and give it a good staple. We've got it all covered. Just wanted you to see what the other side looks like, just to make sure we know we're all in line. A couple of things I want to say before we put our fabric on. Maybe if it's a bedroom or a living room, a den, something that's a little more cozy that you would have upholstery or some other fabric in the room, you may want to put 2 layers, just depending on how thick, and how thick you want it. Also, some of the batting you buy will be a little thicker than others, so it depends on what you want. It's all about you, it's all about your space, it's all about creating your lifestyle. So, I chose, because this is in a bathroom and there's no other upholstery obviously in this room, I just put 1 layer. So if you feel like you need to add 2, that is fine. So now, let's put on the fabric. So this time, we're going to put our fabric on the bottom. One of the things that I probably shouldn't have done, but I did because I fell in love with this fabric and I couldn't resist it because I think it matches perfectly in this bathroom. It is a true silk, and they're so hard to deal with, especially when you're using staples. But the one positive thing about this fabric is it's a stripe, which gives me a guideline to go by, and I'm going to tell you why. Now we're going to pull the fabric up on the sides, and this gives me a place to start. I'm getting my stripe all the way up to the top, but I'm lining the stripe up with the side, and then staple. And we'll do that all the way down till that one's finished. Same thing here. You want to pull your fabric taut. You don't want it really, really, really tight, especially if it's a silk. Number 1, it'll tear. Number 2, it's just going to leave ripples in your fabric. So, once again, I'm matching the stripe up along. My stripe is going just down this line. So, pop one in the top, and then we'll just go through and fill in like we normally do. Now remember, this is your top. This is what's going to go against the ceiling. All you really need to do is make sure this is straight. Make sure that it's pulled tight enough that you won't see any wrinkles or any pulls through the fabric. And again, you're just going to staple. You're going to do that all across the top, all across the bottom. Same thing on the bottom part of the cornice. You're just going to pull it up, pop a couple of staples in, and start with a few in case you do need to take some out and readjust your fabric. Especially, like I said, if there's a pattern and a stripe, you don't want your stripe doing this going up the cornice. You want to make sure it's straight. Pop a few of those in, flip your cornice over, look at what the pattern looks like, and then flip back and go from there. Let's do that. Okay, it looks like my stripes are going straight up and down. Again, this is the top, bottom, obviously sides. So I will keep this stripe along the sides. This is my guideline. Same thing here. So as I pull it, as I staple, just make sure the wrinkles are out. See how we kind of pull it a little tighter without making it too tight. We don't want that. So this was a great start for our fabric. So let's finish this up. I think we have it covered. We have our corners tucked in, top, bottom. Let's flip it over and see what it looks like. How does that look? Pretty good? A couple of things I want to tell you about the cornice at this point. Let's trim off all of the excess batting that we have, just so it won't show. Now, an option that you could do you can line this. A lot of people will line it, put a lining underneath so you don't see the edges when you hang it. Professionals obviously do that, and they'll put GIMP around the edge and treat it, and it's perfect and it's beautiful. And you walk up to the cornice and you look up under it, looks great. I'm not a professional, I'm a farmer. So farmers don't do it that way. So, and if you really feel like you want to look up under my cornices, then I'll tell you all my secrets. But anyway, in my honest, humble opinion, I've told you everything we do here is very simple. So keeping it simple, I don't line them. I really don't see any use to. Just making sure that nothing, I think this will have to be cut off too so you won't see it. But just trim the edges just because there's no use to really have them in hanging around. Making sure there are no strings hanging down. That's our next step. Let's get those trimmed up. The last thing we're going to do to our cornice today before we hang it is put our trim on. And like I said, I chose a trim that I have to hand sew on, which is fine with me. There's so many different types you can use. You can choose to put on. You can put a cording that you would staple on the underside. You can do it self-corded. That means you can cover your own cord in the same fabric, staple that on. You can also glue this on if you decided. I just choose to sew it on. Ta-da! Our finished product. The cornice is ready to go up into the powder room. So, okay, in getting ready to hang our cornices, the first thing I did, I took our blinds off just so they would not be in our way when we start screwing the screws in the top underneath the cornice. Simple, 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 easy way to do this. You can measure, that's great, and I applaud you for doing that. My simple way is, these are my brackets coming straight off. What you have to, you need to make sure you hit a stud when you're hanging these. The best way to do on your cornices, if you put it up even with your casing, you're probably going to hit a stud if you go all the way up. So, reaching up here, I'm going to mark straight above this side, straight above my casing, all the way up here. I chose to mark the second part of my bracket. You can see it's just an L bracket. So now when I hang them, I will actually put, I don't want to mark my ceiling, I'll actually put the first screw into that hole. So it's going to be about 1 inch from the ceiling. Okay, let's get ready to pop these